like Clark, I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols. Reaming my body, clothing no issue. Bitch, you look sick, you need a tissue. You drop a body, I just might bless you. I'm metrosexual.
Yo, what is going on, everyone? It's Wraith here, back with another video. Now, in today's video, I basically am going to be talking about how to do the best you possibly can in these kind of cash cups or any kind of future tournament, and basically try your best to either finish very high or even, depending on how good you are, maybe even finish top 100 or top 10, whatever. Kind of depends basically how good you are. I did make a video recently on how to warm up and like prepare for these cash cups and how to actually be ready for them. So this is kind of, let's say like a part 2 of that video. And if you guys are looking forward to this video, make sure you slap a like button on it, comment what you want to see for a future video, hit that subscribe button, and you guys already know, use creator code WraithFN in the item shop, just like every single time. If you guys do use it, make sure you send it to me on Twitter or Instagram, and I will shout you guys out if you send me a picture of it. And yeah, let's get right into today's video. So the first tip I'm going to give into today's video, and this one kind of relates back to the how to prepare for the tournament, is you need to try your best to get a good warm-up in and be prepared for the tournament. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be talking about too much for preparedness because I made a whole nother video on that, but the one thing I will talk about is you need to try your best to warm up. So, for example, my Cash Cup in NA West starts at 6 p.m. I don't know what time your guys' starts in EU or NA East or Oceanic or whatever, right? But basically, if you're coming home from school or you wake up at 4 p.m. or whatever the case is, and you do a little bit of homework, maybe take a shower or whatever the case is, do some chores around the house. If you're hopping on at like 5:30, 5:45, or even 5:20ish, like giving 30, 40 minutes, I would say you're probably not going to be as good as you possibly can for the cash cups or for whatever tournament you're doing. To be as good as you possibly can for that 15 games or 10 games or whatever this tournament, well, for the cash cup, 15 games, whatever the tournament is, if you're not warming up properly and for a good amount of time, you're not going to be as good as you possibly can. So I would say try your best to get on at least a minimum. If you really want to compete, at the minimum, try and get a full hour of practice in before, or warm up, or some form of warm up before. You should be watching VODs all day during school or whatever. If you have work, understandable, but try your best to get as much Fortnite content into your brain as possible so you're in the zone, you're ready to go, you've warmed up your mechanics. Even if you can only do 30 minutes, try your best to get those 30 minutes of practice in and warm up as good as possible. Don't just be like dashing or whatever. Like, actually practice your builds, your editing, your aim, and maybe watch like a stream while you're in creative practicing or something, just to get you in that mindset of playing. So now the second tip is stick to a game plan. So basically what I mean about this is make sure that you have a game plan set. But when it actually comes to the cash cup, like I talked about this in the last video about what to do before you start, and I said basically think of a game plan. But when the cash cup starts, a lot of people don't end up sticking to it. So, for example, a lot of you guys might be like, well, what do you suggest doing? Like, would you say land somewhere hot drop, like try and get a lot of kills early for the first couple games? What would you suggest doing? So for me personally, and what I think is the best idea and what a lot of pro players do, is have 1, 2, maybe 3 drop spots that you can consistently go to, you know, every single loot, every single ammo box, every single chest box, every single floor loot spawn, etc., and go there and try and maybe get 1 kill off spawn, maybe 2 kills, and then try and survive till endgame. I don't personally recommend taking mid-game fights unless you absolutely laser someone on a hoverboard, or you hit a sniper shot on them for 105 or 150 or whatever the case is, or you laser someone for 90. I don't personally recommend taking a mid-game fight unless you're forced to, like I said, or you hit someone for a lot. Like if you have no mobility, no mats, whatever, you're probably gonna have to take a fight, unfortunately. But personally, I recommend the game plan, and I think this is the best game plan of, like I said, try and get 1 and 2 kills off spawn, even 0 sometimes are fine. Try and survive to the end game, get the top 25. If you can, get the top 15, and then try your best to either take height, take the win or try and get a couple kills or picks or whatever you can when people are rotating or whatever the case is. My ideal game would be coming top 15, well, top 5 obviously, but a good game for me would be top 15 with 3 kills. And if you can average that over a span of, let's say, 12 out of the 15 games, you're placing pretty high. Now obviously you have to have a couple pop-off games if you really want to do that good, but that would basically be my goal every single game, would be 2 to 3, maybe 4 kills, top 15. That would be a pretty good point range for me. But you got to figure out what kind of style your play is if you're aggressive. If you're better than me, then play a little bit more aggressive or try and shoot for the top 5 with 6 kills or whatever the case is, right? All depends on you. Now this next tip I'm going to say is don't tilt no matter what you do. I've talked about this in recent videos and past videos where basically anything can happen in these games. You never know. If you're at 0 points after 4 games because you died off spawn, trust me, I know it's frustrating. You're like, I don't want to play this game anymore, I'm going to quit, or I'm not doing good, I'm just going to hot drop, blah, 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 I'm mad, blah, blah, I'm going to push everyone, right? Whatever happens, don't get mad, and remember, it's okay. People have been in bad situations before. You just got to continue, be calm, and basically get it back. Like, you have a higher chance of getting it back if you're calm. Like I always use for example, FaZe Dubs was at, I think, 7 points or 8 points or something crazy like that in a World Cup qualifier online. The next 2 games he won, or with 8 out of 10 games. The last 2 games he dropped 20 bombs each. One was a 2nd place and one was a 1st place, and he ended up qualifying for the World Cup. And he was at 7, or it could have been 17 points. But anyway, he was at very low points before, and he just popped off the last 2 games. You could be at 12 games out of 15 at around 50 points and be like, okay, well, there's no chance I get another 20, 30 points or whatever, right? You don't know. You could have a pop-off game, you could take height, you could get a lot of easy picks, easy placement, and maybe get like 15, 16 points in a game, or even 16 points every, like, for 2 games. You don't know, right? So just try your best to remain calm. If you feel like you're tilting or whatever, this comes into my next tip, take a break. If you feel like you're tilting or you're tired or you need to go to the washroom or you need to grab some food, grab some water or whatever, do it. The nice thing about this game is the nice one about this tournament is you have 4 hours. Now obviously 15 games kind of spreads out perfectly for 4 hours, but there's a high chance you're probably going to die once or twice before getting to endgame, so you will probably not go over the time limit unless you're absolutely clapping people. But if you feel like you're tilting, just take a 2-minute break, breathe, calm down, go to the washroom, grab some water, relax, reset. Don't just continue playing over and over again if you keep dying off spawn or every single fight, because eventually you're just going to get in that habit of dying, right? You need to take a break, reset your mind, maybe hop in a creative, do 2 minutes, just 2 minutes of editing, aiming, whatever. Make your confidence go up a little bit more and you will feel better. So now kind of relating back to sticking to a game plan, this is another tip where it's basically stick to your schedule unless you're forced to. So I know I said try your best to stick to your schedule, like your game plan, by basically getting a couple early game kills, not mid-game fighting, and then try and get end game. But like I said for the FaZe Dubs example, he knew that he was very, very far behind on points, and he knew he needed to pop off. So depending what your goal is, if your goal is to come top 10, which is around, I'd say, 100 points for most servers, and you're at 80 or 75 points with 2 to 3 games left, you got to realize that you're probably not going to make it if you just play for placement and try and go for the win, because it's probably unlikely you get all 3 wins, but you can maybe top 15, top 5, whatever, right? But if you really want to make it, you got to realize that you might need to switch up your schedule a little bit, just if it's at the last couple. If you're still at 7, 8 games left, I would say you're fine, stick with your schedule and stick with your game plan. But if you only have 3 to 4 games left and you know you need kills, then you're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive. You're going to have to push those mid-game fights. You might have to box fight a couple people, but you have to realize that you got to figure out what your goal is for how many points you want, and you got to see, do I need to get more kills? Because if you do, then you're going to have to switch up your game plan a little bit. Now the last tip I'm going to give, and this is a very, very important one, is figure out what you did wrong in your cash cup and fix it for the next one. VOD review, VOD review, VOD review. I've talked about this almost every single video. record your gameplay, record what you did wrong, watch it over after the tournament's done, write it down, figure out what you did wrong, and fix it for the next Cash Cup or the next tournament. Because the nice thing about this is there's going to be always tons of more tournaments. So if you learn what you're doing wrong and fix it every single tournament, by the next time the World Cup comes around next year or whatever the case is, I guarantee you, you will be more prepared. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you slap a like button, comment what you want to see for a future video, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Peace.